Hi, my name is Julie Fei-Fan Balzer, and listen, I get asked a lot of questions about working with fonts with your ScanNCut. And the thing is, you can't import any fonts into the ScanNCut, but you can print anything you want out of your computer and then scan it into the ScanNCut. So that's what I'm going to show you how to do today. Is we're going to take something that I printed out and we're turn it into a fabulous barbecue apron. So in my word processing program, I looked through all the fonts in my computer, and you can use any font that's in your computer, and I just wrote relish today, ketchup tomorrow, and I printed it out. Now you can print it out at any size you want. I think it works a little better for the scan if it's a little bit larger. So I'm just going to go ahead and take this and I'm going to put it into my scanning mat, which is a non-adhesive mat. And I'm just going to go ahead and load it into the ScanNCut. And then from the home screen, I'm going to choose Scan to Cut Data. It's a black and white image, so I'm fine to stay in black and white recognition mode. So once it's up, I have the 3 different scannings to choose from, and I'm going to choose this one, which will give me an outline and an inline. So I'll get the letters exactly as you see them, and I'm going to pull the arrows in nice and tight so I get a good tight scan and don't catch the edge of the paper or anything. And then I'm going to go ahead and hit save. Now I can save it several different places. I can save it into the machine, wirelessly to ScanNCut Canvas, with a cable to my PC, or to a USB thumb drive. I'm going to save it into the machine, and the machine is going to tell me exactly what it's saving it as. I'm going to say, okay, thanks so much, and I want to go home. And yes, it's okay to delete everything. So once that's done, I'm going to go ahead and unload my scanning mat, and now I'm ready to start working with my files. So I'm going to go ahead, and the first thing that I'm going to do actually before I start working with the file that I saved is actually I'm going to go to ScanNCut Canvas, and I'm just here working on my tablet. And I'm going to go ahead to ScanNCut Canvas, and I have a little spatula that I found online, and I'm going to go ahead and just send that over to my machine wirelessly. So once I've done that and hit ScanNCut Transfer, that's ready to go. So now I know that I can hit Pattern and the wireless button, and then I'm going to be able to retrieve my spatula right there. So the next thing I'm going to do is I have a mat here, and loaded onto the mat is some of the heat apply material. Now this is the film, which is super duper thin, as opposed to we will be cutting some of the glitter, which is a little bit heavier, and they do cut differently, which is why I'm cutting the film first and then I will cut the glitter later. Now it has a right side and a wrong side, and the side that is more shiny where you actually see the glitter, that's the side that you want to be down against the mat, because that has the carrier sheet for the heat apply material. The same thing is true for the film, but it's a little harder to see because there's no glitter. So the side that's blacker goes against the mat, and you want to calibrate your blade so that it only cuts through that top layer and not through the carrier sheet. And I've done a couple test cuts here that you can see to make sure that that's going to happen. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to load my mat into the machine. And by the way, mats can be loaded either way, just so you know. There's no right or wrong on which end goes into the machine. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. And then I want to scan in that heat apply material, because as you can see, it's a used piece, and I want to make sure that I get that spatula placed just right. Okay, so once it's up, I can go ahead and I can drag it into place exactly where I want it to be to conserve my materials. And if I want, I can zoom in so that I can really see what's happening, and I can make sure that everything is totally clear and it looks like it's good. So I'm ready to say okay, okay, and cut. And I've already set everything so that it's ready to cut. So all we have to do is press the start button. Now that that's finished cutting, let's go ahead and cut out the text. So I'm going to go into Pattern and Save Data, and I know it's the last thing that I saved into the machine, so there it is, and I'm going to say OK. Now each of these pieces is actually an individual cut file if you watch that red box dance around. So what I want to do is I want to select them and group them. So I'm going to go here and I'm going to choose the arrow selection tool or the partial selection tool, and I'm just going to grab all of that relish today and hit OK, and you can see all the boxes are selected, and then I'm going to go ahead and group them, and now it's just one big box. Now I want to go ahead and use these arrow keys to go to another part so that that's not selected, because I want to go back here, and now I'm going to select the Ketchup Tomorrow section. So once I've done that, I'm going to say OK, Okay, and I'm going to group it. Now what I need to do is I need to go ahead and I'm going to load in this mat, which as you can see has the green for the relish and the red for the ketchup. And I'm going to go ahead and put this into my machine, and I'm going to scan it in by hitting the scan button. So once I have them up, what I want to do is I want to drag them a little bit into place, but then what I can do, here's a fun little trick, is I can temporarily group them. So I'm going to select all, okay, and then I'm going to group it. Now that's grouped, ungrouped, grouped, ungrouped. Now when they're grouped together, I can resize them together so they're going to size at the same rate, which is great because I know the text is going to be basically the same size. Now, when it starts to get a little big and runs out of space, I may need to drag it around and I can go ahead and resize it. Now, once it's the size that I want it to be, the next step is I want to ungroup that because I want to be able to conserve my, oops, but they're both selected. See how they both have red? So I'm going to go ahead and make sure only one is selected because I want to conserve my materials a little bit. So here you go. Now, the other thing is because this text, it needs to be flipped. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to flip it backwards. I'm going to select the other one and I'm going to flip it backwards, and now we are ready to cut. So I'm going to go ahead and say okay, cut. Now I have already set my blade and my pressure settings so that I know that it'll work because I've already done test cut. So let's go ahead and cut. So now that these are cut, I'm going to go ahead and peel them off the mat. And again, because I calibrated the blades, they're just peeling off as a single piece, but they are cut. But now we have to get into weeding. If you want to conserve your heat apply material, one of the things you can do is you can trim it down to the edge of the design so that I know I can use this, and this is the area that I'll be weeding. And the same with the spatula is I can go ahead and trim that down right near the edge so I know that I can use this piece later. And let's see if our ketchup has any area that we want to save, so we can go ahead and just trim that away and reuse some of that for another project later. Because when you start weeding, and let's start with our spatula, what you're going to do is you're going to just pull away the excess or the stuff that you don't want. And usually the hardest pull is the first pull, because that's when you actually got to get your fingernail under there. So you can see I just keep bending, and then I'm trying to scratch my fingernail under there, and I can sort of see that it's separating. Aha! Victory! And what I'm going to do now is simply pull away this excess material, and this is now going to get just thrown in the trash. So I'm going to pull away all of that excess, and so that the remaining cut is just left on the carrier sheet. You can also use a pair of tweezers or something to help you if you need, but you want to make sure that every little piece is gone that you don't want, including, for instance, like the little inside here. I want that gone. And you can see, like, one of the reasons we're using the carrier sheet is how would I ever line those up again, but it's easy enough when it's on here. So I am going to weed all three of these pieces, just pulling out the little pieces, bending and pulling and bending and pulling until I get them done. So here I am at the ironing board, and I've got a plain white apron that I bought at the craft store, and I'm just warming it up now with an iron. And I'm doing that. I always find I get the best results with heat apply material if I just apply a little bit of heat to the material first. So then we're going to build our design slowly. So the first thing I have is the relish today, which, remember, we cut backwards because what we're doing is we're putting that side that we cut down against the apron right where we want it to be, and it lines up beautifully. Then I am taking a pressing sheet, otherwise known as a plain piece of fabric. I'm going to put that over just to protect it, and then I'm going to place my warm iron right on top of that, and I'm just going to hold it in place for a couple of seconds. So then I'm going to go ahead and pull off my pressing sheet, and I'm going to sort of wave my apron around for a moment because I want this to cool down. You can't pull it off when it's really hot. And then very carefully, I'm going to see whether I need to iron some more or not. I'm going to peel one corner, and if it is done, then the pressing sheet should come away no problem, and what should be left behind is my perfectly placed text. So now I'm ready to go ahead and grab the next piece, which is the spatula, and I can determine where I want it, how close I want to place it. Do I want it left to right, right to left, on an angle or straight? I kind of like the angle, I'm thinking, although this is kind of nice too. So that's a nice thing, which is you could make 1,000 of these and they could all be slightly different. Okay, we're going with the artistic angle here. I think that's what I feel like today in this moment. Okay, so once I have this, I'm going to go ahead and press it down, and then I'm going to do the same thing where I simply put the pressing sheet over it, and then I'm going to go ahead and put the iron on top of it. So now I'm going to go ahead and peel off the pressing sheet and do the same thing where I just wave it around to let it cool down a little bit, and then I'm going to start to slowly peel and see if it stuck, and it did, which is so cool. So it's very exciting. So there you go. There's my spatula on there. Looks great. So we're ready to move on to the next part. But you can see there's a problem, which is the ketchup overlaps, and if I put this over here, I don't like having the whole thing off-centered. So I'm simply going to take a pair of scissors and I'm going to cut apart the carrier sheet into 2 halves here. So now I can put the ketchup where I want it to, sort of nestled off to the side here under the spatula, and I can put the tomorrow a little bit more centered so that it makes a little more sense. And now it's a whole image. So let's do the ketchup first. I'm going to go ahead and put my pressing sheet on top and hit that with my hot iron. Once you're finished ironing, you're going to go ahead and shake it out, and then you're going to slowly pull away. There you go. There's some ketchup. So now we're just down to our last piece, and you can see that you can make a very long and complex design by breaking it into simple pieces like this. You don't have to think of it all as being created at the exact same time. I'm going to now try to space this as much away as the relish was. So I'm just eyeballing it, and when it looks good, I'm ready to put down my pressing sheet, and let's go. Last one. So I'm just going to go ahead and pull off the pressing sheet. Once again, we're going to slowly pull back that carrier sheet, and boom! So now that I've finished my apron, I'd say I'm ready for a summer barbecue. So thanks so much for watching. For more tips, tricks, and tutorials, be sure to visit my blog at balzerdesigns.typepad.com, and of course, check out the ScanNCut website at ScanNCut.com.